the sound of Universal Broadcasting Network at upnradio.com.
Welcome, everyone, to another wonderful episode of New Wellness TV with your host, me. I just want to say that I am so excited I'm always excited. I say that every show because I am, to have a wonderful new guest today. And she's just truly, truly amazing. She's going to be sharing her journey and through this very difficult situation that she had as a child. And it's amazing because I have a dear friend right now that's battling the same thing with her daughter. And not only her, it's so millions of people that are. So our title today is Coming Around the Curves. And what do you think we titled that? Coming Around the Curves. This is a person's battle with scoliosis. And I love your title. And so thank you so much, Rosalyn Kahn. Thank you so much, Rosalyn Kahn, for being a guest here today. Thank you.
Thank you. It's truly an honor and pleasure to be here, and I feel exactly the same about you. I remember the moment I set my eyes on you and you just said a few words. I said, I don't know who this lady is, but I love her through and through.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Well, we all have been given a gift, and I am so grateful that I'm living my purpose, and that's to help mankind and just be. And if we are authentic to ourselves, it shows. And I'm so thankful that you shared that with me. So I want to thank you so much, Rosalyn.
Thank you.
You're truly amazing. And so we're going to kind of, I want to ask you first, coming around the curves, your battle with scoliosis. So your battle, when did it start?
Well, it all started like this. As most youngsters in school these days, or back in my time, when you went to 7th grade, they had you bend down and touch your toes in the locker room. And one by one, they'd go by and they go, not me, not me. And my turn came up and they said, can you come here for a second? And they said, it seems as though you have a problem here and we need you to go see a doctor. Now, I don't know about you, but when I was 12 years old, a doctor tells me to do anything, and I say, not me, it can't be me.
Yes.
And so he gave me some exercises that I didn't do. And we all think we're going to be okay. It's not going to happen. Well, 2 years later, little did I know, I was in an accident running around the track and gym when I ran over a rock. And I broke the growth plate. And what happened was, what was a small curve actually doubled.
Now, when we talk about curving, I know why he had you bent over because I do physical examinations. So when you have a person bent over, you're looking at the scapula and
Right.
you're looking at the spine. So you want to see if one side of the back is a little higher than the other. And also standing up straight, you can kind of take your finger, go down the spine to see if there's an S shape because that's what scoliosis happens to be, a kind of an accentuated curvature of the spine.
Right.
So when he saw this, when they did your examination, he gave you exercises to do at that point?
He gave me exercises to do, and they're basically the same exercises that many people practice in the gym, called the pelvic tilt, where you squeeze your butt and you lift it up backwards and you hold it down to strengthen those lower muscles, because that's where my curvature was.
Okay.
There's actually two curves. There's called an S curve and a C curve.
Exactly.
And the S curve is more serious because it goes ahead and impacts where the breathing is.
Yes.
And so when it had doubled,
So the S curve is, to let people know, it's more higher up.
it goes frontwards and it goes backwards, just like the letter S. So
Yes.
it affects both the breathing and the lower part of the back.
Because it's more against the chest wall.
Right, exactly.
Yes, exactly.
And so what they prescribed at the time was they put me in a brace. And I like to say it like this. Imagine you put your hands around your waist and you squeeze as tight as you humanly can. And you say, oh my God, that hurts, let me go. That's what the brace felt like.
Oh,
and you
my
had to wear
goodness.
this 22 hours a day. You could take it off when I went swimming or when I took a shower. And otherwise, you needed to live in it. And it got to the point that I finally, 3 months later, was able to sleep through the night. And they said it didn't work. And so when it didn't work, I remember this walk I made with my father. We were in a local neighborhood down in San Diego on Wandermere. And as I was going down the hill, my father said, you know, that brace you have, it's not working, and they're going to have to operate.
Right.
And there was like a voice inside of me that
And
screamed.
you were how old again?
I was 14 going on 15 years old. So I was going to enter my first year of high school, and my adoration was the pool. I loved swimming. And the thought of not being able to swim for 6 months was like, oh my God. And he said to me these words, sometimes in life we have to do what we don't want to do.
My, at a very young age.
And it was, you know, it's like my mind memorizes these events from the past, and I fast forward to there I was on the operating floor, and I'm looking up, and there's cards on the left from all my friends that are wishing me well, and on the right is a stream of friends from the swim team who came and visited me, and I later remember the occupational therapist coming to me and realizing how important swimming was and that I wasn't going to do it. She said, we're going to come up with a special job for you. I don't remember what my responsibilities was, but I was the team manager of the swim team.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a book by Malcolm Gladwell, and he says this in his book, if you practice something like 1,000 times, you go on to success. Mm-hmm. And so I'd watch the people swim. I'd stand up and down in my room and do the precept to the staircase.
Right.
And I'd move my arms so that when I got back in that pool, I attained success. When I graduated high school, fast forwarding a year later, I became the most valuable varsity. And so, you know, just sitting there watching and keeping your eye on the goal was really what happened. But, you know, the battle of the curves was when I was in the hospital and I'd been in bed for a week, and the lady says, you're going to go ahead and stand up and you're going to walk. I'm like, what? Because you're on your back for a week. And it's just like, you know, I had to learn how to walk again. And that was, I guess, the easy part. But why it was a struggle that I want to talk to people who have anything that's different than themselves, and I want you to listen to the story. My disease was scoliosis, but you can call it any disease under the dictionary of anything that makes you look different.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
You see, what happened was I had a cast, just like one you had on your arm, except it was on my body from here all the way down. And people thought there was something wrong up here.
Because you had on a full body cast?
Because I had on a full body cast. I have this thing that came up to about here, and I wore all sorts of scarves before they were popular.
And then you were young to be dressed that way.
I was young, and I was, 15 years old, and I looked like a linebacker for the football team, except I wasn't. And as a youngster, you're highly self-conscious.
Yes.
And as I looked back on those years, I had like two friends. There was this one other friend who had scoliosis, and there was a friend of mine who was the newspaper boy.
Yes.
And those were the people that I remembered having conversations with. And what was interesting in that time is one of the ways that I helped myself deal with it is I would write. And when I look back on those skills that I've written, I've published 2 books, and I have I've been in several other that are up and coming out, and those are the blessings. But on the other side, there's more. You see, when we don't fit in, we develop this complex, we develop this wall, and what we do is we close the world out.
Yes.
And in closing the world out, there's certain things that you learn as a teenager. You learn what's right, you learn what's wrong, you learn the social norms. And I learned that I didn't really care what people said.
And when did you learn that? Because we all go through things as a child and a teenager. When did you get to the point you didn't care what people said?
Well, I wouldn't allow myself to really feel. I just shut down the wall. And so...
And how old were you when you...
It was like 15. I was 15. I was in a body cast. And it's like, good. You can't get people to understand you. And it's like, well... there's a part of me that would always come as, I'm okay, nothing really matters. But deep down inside of me, it does matter and it does hurt. The outside wall felt like it didn't care. Mm-hmm. And so when I get to adult life, I've had several problems in relationships where I do things and I don't understand why people are mad at me.
What do you mean you do things?
Oh, I'll say things or, an example is I developed this wall. And so I'll go and I'll be with someone, and I don't know when the time is to back off and not be with them, because I don't read the signs that they're shrugging off and they're saying not being there. And they're like, do you know that you did that? I mean, that was like a really important business relationship, and you needed to not be there. Or someone recently said to me, I recently had an operation on my foot, so I'm walking around in a foot cast, and I've got all sorts of posts on my page about what that's all about. And I had someone who was going to help me out, and they were going to do a graphic design thing for me, and they got sick, and I said, how you feeling? I'm sorry to hear that. Are you sick? And they'd promised me to do something, and I said, are you sick? And I'd sent you something. When do you think you might have it? And I was called as being insensitive. Like, I sent a picture of a rabbit and a dog, and I said, how you feeling? I hope you're feeling better.
Well, sometimes everybody's different.
Right.
And I would have never, ever thought that of you when I met you.
Right.
Even to now. And we met this year.
Right.
When I was being honored at the in Beverly Hills.
Right.
And that point, we spoke for a few minutes, and then we had many conversations on the phone thereafter, and introducing you to other groups of people and organizations. I don't see that with you.
Well, it's interesting. It's all about a perspective, and this is what I want people to understand. We all interpret the world through our eyes.
Definitely.
Our eyes. And I've been through many professional development classes, and they say the goal is not to care. Not to care. Because they said, and I learned this the other night in the NAFE meeting, the National Association of Female Executives. I'm so glad I joined by your invitation.
Thank you.
This woman said, when you get to be really famous, there are going to be people who don't like you. And my life coach has said to me many times, you got to learn to let it go.
Oh yeah, you definitely.
You got to learn to just
because
simply let it go.
A lot of what you're saying is some of my own past journey, and there's a book written, and the first chapter is through the eyes of a child.
Right.
So through the eyes of a child, through the eyes of an adult as well. How we perceive things, and being bullied and different things that's growing up.
Right.
You learned yours at age 15. It took me a little longer after going through some of the things that I went through as in my adulthood, and not so much adult, but child and teen years. But we get to the point, I think not caring, we care, but we can't care so much that we internalize it, that we're afraid to move forward. That we become numb.
That's it exactly.
And this is what, even, there's so much going on in the media, and when you're kind of in the media, and I have been in the past, you get to the point that it's like, you know what, I am who I am.
That's right.
Yeah, I am who I am, and I'm just going to be me.
That's right.
I can't be with other people. My daughter wrote a poem once, so I can't be who you want me to be. Right. It kind of goes a little deeper, but I can only be me. And if you can't accept me for me, which is her poem, then obviously you're not the one for me.
Right.
And that's in relationships, business, or personal relationships, because you can't be what somebody else wants you to be. You always be yourself.
Right.
And if you bring you to the table, then if a person can't accept that, then they shouldn't be there.
Right.
Even, I don't care what level of business it is.
No,
it's very important.
There's a saying I recently read in one of the many books of, it's called the Journal for Women Who Do Too Much. And it was basically each and every person in this world, including everyone who's listened, is born with a gift.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And, your gift goes with you whether you accept it or not. Mm-hmm. And if you're truly your authentic self of who you are, then the rest of the world opens up to you. But so many people are afraid because of this happened or that happened, and it's just you.
Yeah.
I had someone once say to me when I traveled in this organizational group up with people, and he saw this insecurity. He said, I want you to stand yourself in front of a mirror, take everything off, and say these words, I love you just the way you are.
I have said that on the show. I have said that exact same thing on the show. Undress every morning, not knowing someone had written this, and just because it's something I learned to do for my own self.
Right.
And just look at yourself. Look at yourself and be well with you. Be well with you, because that's what's important.
Right. And you just simply put it on the mirror, and it's there every morning when you get up and you look at it. It's the power is write the message that you want to be. Look at it every day, multiple times. If you see it, you believe it, and you can make it happen. And that's what I want to say to everyone. We all have blocks. We all have problems, but the only one can change is yourself.
Most definitely.
And it's in the mindset that you set that you can actually, put the roller coaster on and make things happen.
Right. And, coming around the curves, I mean, you went through a lot early. And, I would have never known that when I met you. I would have never known that. Your posture looks great.
Thank you.
And that's what's important as well because of what you had to go through. And it's just the journeys we go through in life. So I want to just say that and ask you a question on, you just had the one surgery, right?
Yeah, I just had that surgery on my back.
Oh, okay. The one surgery on your back. Okay, and not anymore. But
Well, they had the surgery on the foot, but that was a different surgery.
Okay. Oh, yeah, and that was recently.
That was recently.
That was recent. But you've gone through many, many journeys here. So I really want to kind of get into a little bit, how were you accepted to do a TED Talk?
Well, that's really interesting because I was always interested in public speaking, and one of the things I did in high school was I was on the debate team and I was on the swim team, and I've always loved to speak. I recently had to write a directive in case my last day came by. I said it would be the worst day of my life if I couldn't process things in my mind and have that verbal communication. It's that important. So with that as a background, on my bat mitzvah, I'd given this speech about moods and how important moods were. And as I came to later life, I was a member of Toastmaster. Most people joined for a year. I joined for 15 or 20 and just recently rejoined.
Okay.
I was involved in American Society of Training and Development, and there was a good friend of mine who said, you got to come to a TED Talk. And at the time, I didn't know what TED was all about.
Right.
I didn't know what it was about entirely.
And a lot of people don't, so you can explain that as well.
It's technology, entertainment, and design, and it's everyone who has a message that they'd like to share. And when I tell you about my journey, I didn't just give one talk. I've given 1, 2, and 3 and trained a number of people. And my first one was called Language Comes to Life, about taking my students around the curve and how that improved their speaking skills as a foreigner. Okay. The second one was Coming Around the Curve, the title of that talk, and it was about scoliosis and how it made me a more compassionate human being. The last one was called Breaking Cultural Barriers and how all of us can make a difference. And then I've trained a number of people. So how did I get there? Well, a friend of mine in the American Society of Training and Development said, I want you to come to a TED. And I sat in this audience and I was mesmerized. I could tell you 6 of the 12 speeches I saw. And I said to myself, I want to be there.
Okay. You put it out there.
I put it out there. And there was an opportunity. I was a volunteer for an organization. It was called TEDx 2.0, where I worked with a wide variety of fabulous, fabulous people. Okay. And the director of this, by the name of Greg Apodeka, had said, you've got to get in this, and you guys are volunteering. You should go meet the coordinators. There's a seminar on the guy who's leading the people on how to speak. And I met one of my life mentors, John Bates, there. And when I got to that training about the speaking, I went there, and my goal was to become one of those speakers. But I said, well, I'm just a public speaking teacher. I've taught for 13 years, and I'm just here to learn. And I hit the bathroom, and this lady comes up and addresses me, and her name is Kat Haber, and she does lots of TED Talks. I talked to her this morning, and she said, I think you're amazing, and I know a number of people that you can work with. And through her, I trained lots of people. A lady by the name of Eliana Gilad, who's gone on to greatness. I just retrained her for a talk that she did in St. Juan Island. It was beautiful.
Oh, my goodness.
It was beautiful. I trained this guy named Duran Gazit, who did a TED Talk on his red line, and Jill Zimmerman, who's out of Colorado, and the list goes on. But the idea was that I was able to help people with the art of public speaking because I had 13 years in public speaking, and one of the young kids, who was the youngest kid, his name was Kane Milroy, actually recently friended me on LinkedIn, and I thought, isn't that amazing? He had given a talk. He was the youngest kid who came up with Funation. He had built a cardboard box in his father's automotive store, and my goal was this 10-year-old who wasn't communicative to help him make a story. So we got a barf bag, and on the barf bag, his mentor, and it was a filmmaker, had him write down the 3 words. And so there he was on the stage with his mentor, and they gave that talk, and he's gone on to many more. And I've gone on to coach many other people. So
you're beginning to coach me.
There you go.
And I had said before I met you that I'm going to be there in TED.
Well, I've got some good news to share with you.
Okay.
I talked to Kat this morning, and she says, Rosalyn, if you know anybody out there who's interested, please let me know. Send me their names, and let's get them filling out applications. So for all those people who've said to me once or twice in their life, I want to be on the TEDx stage.
Yes.
Reach out to me. I've trained a lot of people, and everyone has a message in their heart. But it's all about the art of storytelling. How do you tell those stories? And one story I want to tell you was when I was recently at St. Juan Island, there was a gentleman who was a hiker, and he was having trouble memorizing his speech. And Kat said, Rosalyn, take this guy outside. We went over 10, 15 minutes, and when I saw him up on stage and giving that speech, it was amazing.
Yeah.
Just
you know what? I would like to see Jarvis, my producer here. I would like to see Jarvis on stage at TED.
Well, he's got a beautiful smile. He's winking at me, so he's going to make it happen.
I would love to see him on stage.
Everybody has.
Because he has some messages and stories and concerns that I think would really, really be powerful that a lot of people are not addressing. So I think it would be great to have Jarvis. Yeah. On TEDx.
Well, we'll talk after the show. We'll see about making that happen. I'm
always pulling him in,
There you go.
He's a wonderful, hardworking person and with so many gifts. And I know that would be great for you.
No.
I know.
It'd be fantastic. I want to go back to something you said earlier because I learned something new, and I'm a person who thrives on learning.
Yes.
You talked about a dear friend of yours whose name is Iris, and Iris's daughter has
We're not going to bring names up.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
So somebody named Jack has a kid, and Jack
Okay.
Jack has a kid, and the kid is a child, and the child has had multiple surgeries that haven't gone as well. And I've got some great news. I sent the information yesterday, and I want everyone to listen to this. Sometimes we do things for not money, but we do it, and we never know the rewards that are going to come out to us.
Yes.
I recently presented at a Project Manager Institute after speaking at the Southern California Technology Conference. And as I was following up on a lead, this person said to me, remember when you got up on the stage at PMI and you said the speech you were really looking forward to? I'm going back to my high school, Patrick Henry, where I talked about.
Yes.
And I'm giving the same speech on coming around the curve. And I was saying how it began. And when I talked to him on the phone yesterday, he said, I used to work with this company that did something with scoliosis. And he said there's this non-invasive product that was called Magic with a J instead of an E. And there's a company out of San Diego that I just talked to yesterday.
You're kidding.
No.
Oh my goodness.
And I sent the pictures immediately to this person named Jack and Jack's daughter and said, you got to check this out, because what it is, it's a way to help today's young people.
Yes.
How they can overcome this with a thing that's non-invasive and doesn't hurt. And the exciting thing is life is about learning. And when I saw this information, I couldn't wait to share it. And he and I are going to talk today at 1 o'clock after the show is over.
It's bringing tears to my eyes because I know Jack and the family quite well. I feel like I'm part of their family. And the one thing that I told Jack's daughter, that I see you speaking. And I see you doing things in production and in the media and directing. And this is something I told the daughter, I don't know how many years ago. And I said, I know it's going to happen.
Well,
I know it's going to happen.
I'm
so excited
when
to
this
hear
person
this.
asked me for who I was talking to and what their stories were, I talked about Jack's daughter.
Okay.
I talked about Jack's daughter, and she was really excited. So I just can't wait till I get to talk to Jack's daughter
Exactly.
and share it because, everybody has a dream.
Yes.
And everybody has a story in their heart they want to tell. But oftentimes one of the challenges is they tell too much. They're afraid of getting the words out, or they don't know what to say. And through my experience, and you can go straight to my classroom today, I tell you like it is. And sometimes it hurts, but it's the pain. So I want to share this with you. On my first TED Talk,
Okay.
I'd written it over 28, 30 times.
Okay.
And I was ready to give it, and the person who brought me into it said to me as I was driving to Santa Monica College, Rosalyn, you got it all wrong. And I'm like, well, I'm going to go to a speech coach. And first he said no, and then I turned away. And he said, go back and see what you learn. And as I came back an hour later, I had this speech that I gave at the center that's close to my house that deals with people with disabilities, and they loved it. They loved it. And when I gave it on the TED stage, because I want to make those speeches perfect, he looked at me and he said, "You were wonderful. And the key to life is having mentors." And he's one of the 3 people who I hold close and dear to me in my life.
Yes.
Is that person that I delivered the first TED Talk with. And
oh my goodness.
It's amazing.
What a journey. And so many of us, and I do, it's funny because I would never, I've done a lot of speaking and spoke different places, and I just kind of would meditate and ask for guidance. In spirit, God would always lead me as to what's needed for that audience.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and it has always worked out just fine.
Right.
Matter of fact, I was told I had so many minutes for a major event, and I'm waiting for them to let me know my time was up by holding up the cards, and they never did. So I just kept going, and I said, "Why didn't you?" They said, "No, we wanted to hear more."
Oh, that's beautiful.
So I'm really thankful that, I was very, very shy in growing up, so I would never stand in front of people. I would never stand in front of a camera. Needless to say, do a talk show. But I am so glad that I've been moved past my comfort zone to do more. So now I'm speaking. Actually, I'll be speaking in Japan this year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I was asked to be part of this medical convention. So I'll be speaking in Japan. So, as soon as I said I'm an international speaker, these doors start opening up.
No, it's amazing.
So you have to put it out there. What do you want? And start focusing on the positive, what you want, and not the negative.
Oh, my God.
I can do anything that
Well, that's
I want
true.
with practice and studying.
Right.
You can become and do whatever you want.
That's exactly right.
Whatever you want.
Do you know how to say thank you in Japanese?
I will.
Okay,
Not
here you
yet.
go. Tomo arigatou gozaimashita.
It's very long.
Here we go. Say it. Repeat after me.
We're
Tomo.
going to do the show today, and we'll do that part next time. Okay?
It's just a simple phrase. I traveled enough with people, and at the end of this performance, they said that word. But it's true.
We're going to, because I have quite a bit to do before the end of June. So, and I have you.
There you go. There you go. You put
so-
out there what you want, and the world truly opens up to us.
So I will be a delegate that will
great.
be traveling to Japan for this medical symposium. It's a wonderful product that I've been using for years for people who have cancer.
Oh, great.
It's one of the products, and it's just a phenomenal product. So there'll be a guest later on the show as well. But I'm really excited. I'm like, what an honor.
Well, I'm so amazed with everything that you do in medicine. I remember listening to you, and every time I talk to you, you're talking about another gift that you want to give to humanity, that just to make them healthy, the different machines and apparatus, and you're the only one in the country that has them.
No, I'm the only one that offers it for free.
For
I'm
free.
not the only one that have it. Yeah, that's a CRT machine, but I'm the only one that offers it for free because I said someone needs to give me this machine for free so that I can offer this to the public. And I screen men, women, and children for early screening for breast cancer.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Non-radiation. Because now what's happening, there's some things happening, and we're going to do a show on it, but we have in the past, is inflammatory breast cancer. And that's starting with teenage girls. And 40% now of inflammatory breast cancer is men. So we're not going to get into that so much today, but I'm just letting people know that was something I wanted to do. At the end of last year, I said, I need to have some new things. I want something new. I love the CRT. I do a lot of screening. And then I had the voice analysis machine.
Oh, I think that's amazing.
You got to come and have that one done.
I want to do that one.
Everyone listening, come and have that test done, the voice analysis. By counting to 100, this particular machine here, and there's two, but this one particular one is just amazing. Counting to 100, let me know what's going on. And you can see yourself socially, physically, your homeostasis level, where you
wow.
are. So it picks up a lot of information. And then the next machine that I have that I'm excited about is the cardiovascular one.
Oh, my gosh.
And it's called the Max Plus.
Wow. What is it? What does it do?
It's called the Max Pulse. I'm sorry, the Max Pulse. And actually, it through your pulse on your finger, left hand index finger, I'm able to assess your cardiovascular.
Oh, wow.
And also not just your cardiovascular, your adrenals, your autonomic nervous system, to see if it's balanced. And as quickly can show you if it's balanced, your stress level, blood pressure, and when you look, not blood pressure, but your pulse rate, to see if you picked up any artifacts. And artifacts with this will be cardiac arrhythmias. So there's so many that, you can have, because if you accidentally move a little, but over a certain limit, then I do other follow-ups. So it's not a standalone for cardiovascular assessment, but it's one of the key products or machines that I use for screening.
Wow.
So I'm just happy. So a person come to New Wellness Healthcare Clinic, they really go through a great workup, including functional medicine, which is a lab work,
Right.
which is really important. So we look at it at a functional level, because that's who we are. We're whole human beings. And it's funny, on one of the tests for the pulse, for the Max Pulse machine, it has, low, and then it has normal, and then it has optimal.
Right.
So most people said, well, I fell within the normal, so
Right.
I'm happy. Well, normal went against everybody who thought they were normal, and we're not. So
Right.
if you want to be healthy, you want to be in the optimal.
Right.
That's what's important, to be in the optimal level. So that's where we want to be. And I'm so happy. I guess all the great things I've been doing, most of my whole test was in the optimal level.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
awesome.
So-
There's some interesting research I want to share with you. When I was at the TED in San Juan Island, there was a gentleman who was talking about the diabetes test that they did for kids, of having to pin them and how difficult it was. This is out of Washington State University. There's new research there that they're talking about how with a cell phone you can get the same information.
Yes, I know about that one.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and they have one now that can do like a little implant under the skin. And it will actually alert your phone when your blood sugar is elevated or too low,
Wow,
when it's abnormal.
that's
'Cause
amazing.
I saw a patient, I'm like, what is this? So it's kind of under the skin.
Right.
So it's so many things, because that pin pricking was causing some people a lot of inflammation or problems of always sticking with the pin. It was a sterile pin.
Right.
I have a friend who is internal medicine, and he was saying the best place to do, if you have to do that, is to make a fist and stick yourself on the side of your hand instead of using your fingertips. Make a hard fist and just stick on the side of the hand for people who are doing the testing for their blood sugar.
How does that improve the process?
Well, you don't have to deal so much with the fingertip.
Right.
Pretty soon, people have peripheral vascular problems later. At least if you're going to use the side of the hand, the skin is a little tougher there, and you tend not to have so many challenges later.
Wow.
Yeah, so I learned that from him one day. I was with him.
Well, that
Just an
seems-
amazing. So things that you learn, you pass them on,
Right.
to help others.
How did you get involved in the whole integrative medicine field?
We'll turn that around when you interview me, okay?
I'm sorry. So my inquisition gets the better of me. I'm sorry.
That's okay, because this hour is about you
Okay, there we go.
and coming around the curves.
It is
okay?
coming around the curves.
Yes. And so how many do you work with, other children or people with the same condition that you have? Is
Well,
there
one
like
of
a
my-
nonprofit, not
there was-
nonprofit,
there
but
was-
organization?
One of my goals after having that scoliosis surgery was to really become an advocate of working with kids and so forth. And I remember reaching out to the National Scoliosis Foundation and
And I'm going to stop you right there, because when you talk, I want you to look into and see the people. Look into their eyes, okay?
yeah, so
Because they're watching you. And
There
it's
we go.
so important that
I had just reached out to this National
Yes.
Scoliosis Foundation. When I reached out to them, the response really wasn't what I wanted. There was a lady that I met who was a trainer and worked with this, and it wasn't the response that I wanted. And so I truly feel in my heart, this person I talked to yesterday with this new innovative technology that's all around the world, this is my dream. I mean, I want to let people know who've had this disease that it's okay, that even if you grew up in this small, awkward way, I mean, you wouldn't believe that same kid has given 1, 2, 3 TED Talks, has traveled all around the world promoting cultural peace, has written 3 to 4 books. You can be who you want to be. I mean, we have
Yes.
two choices in life. We can crawl over and be the victim, or we can stand up and be the champion.
Very good.
There's a champion in each and every one of us. And that's the message that I want to give to the world who's listening to this message. It's in you. Just let it out.
You've had such a journey, and look at you. I mean, just amazed. I'm amazed at that you've come such a long way. And some people get bitter during the journey, and you didn't do that.
Right.
Yeah.
It's one of
It's okay
one
to
of,
look at me.
well, you said now you gotta look at it. I can't look at you. You said look there, look at it. It's okay. Tell me which way you want me to look. So, I'm learning. No,
That's okay.
it's
That's okay.
it's the process of life is when we're down and out, the world becomes bitter. And I
Yes.
can say this, when I don't get enough sleep and I'm not eating right, it's really easy to go down that thing.
Oh,
And,
my goodness. Sleep deprivation can cause a lot of problems.
you
Yes.
know, I do this meditation each and every day, and the meditation, part of the words are, may any negative thoughts come in, and on the other side, may positive come out the other side. And
Say that
it's-
again. Say that one more time.
So may any negative thoughts that come into my mind be taken out, and let the positive thoughts come in.
Okay.
And this is a meditation I do each and every day, and I've been doing this for several years, and it's really opened my heart up, as well as the gift of gratitude.
Yes.
I mean,
Yeah.
I start every day with stating a statement of gratitude and writing the list, and I have a gratitude book that is the journal of that.
Yes.
And it's, we put happiness in our heart each and every day. My goal in life is to be happy and share that with others. Seeing what's bright and beautiful is really the answer, the key.
And it shows as well. And I start off my day every day with gratitude. Actually, I don't have on my pen, but we'll talk about that near the end of the show. But gratitude is so important. I go to bed with gratitude. If I can't sleep, I can sleep if I just take the time to just go through the gratitude of the whole day, the gratitude of the house, the gratitude of the bed, the gratitude of the people that made the pillows, and just go through the whole process. And really, by the time you finish, or before you finish, you are sound asleep.
Wow.
So I tell people, just take your mind off of all the other stuff and all the
Right.
chatter that's going on in your brain, and then fall into a sense of gratitude. And when you do that, it's just amazing.
It's really the truth.
Amazing how you
it's-
feel.
And it's on those simple things when you don't feel good. Start with those simple things. What I love about myself, I have clothes on my back. I have shoes on my feet.
Exactly. The
There's
simple
food-
things, and they're not simple.
There's food in the refrigerator. And by the time you finish that list about what you love about yourself, you're on to a positive track.
Exactly. And I just want to give a shout out, and I'm so excited that I just, on April 1st, have my 10th grandchild,
Oh my gosh.
which is a girl.
How beautiful.
My daughter, Siobhan, gave birth. Thank you for cheering that up. Gave birth to a healthy baby girl that weighed 8 pounds and 22 inches long.
Wow.
So I am so excited. So I want to thank everyone, too, right now for the wonderful Facebook post. So thank you, Facebook friends and family, for all of the congratulations and the wonderful things you had to say in regards to my family. Thank you so much. And you went a step further, which I haven't given you the address yet, to say you want to send a card.
Right. I
Yeah.
keep asking and
And
asking, where's that address?
I'm
Where's that
going
address?
to give it to you today, okay?
Terrific.
Yeah, I'm going to give it to you today. But I just want to thank everyone, and I want to thank you because you are truly a person of integrity and a person of your word and concerned about others. And it's very rare that I meet people who go to that. It's all about me. How much more can I get for me, and what can I do for myself?
You know, it's
but
interesting that you share that, because I want to share this short story. There's a friend of mine who's working to get women to the UN stage, and she took me to this gentleman who was a huge scholar and very important in the Buddhist world, and he was coming to the end of his life. And I went to see him one night, and I was really sick, and it was really late. And my 5 minutes in talking to him, he looked in my eyes and he said these words: "You're a lady who's done wonderful, incredible things, and what I see in the world is two things. There's going to be a time in your life that people aren't going to listen to you, but you have two gifts. And your gifts are your integrity and what you bring to the world of the person of who you are.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. And one other funny thing, there's this thing on the internet that I posted, and I want you to go to my Facebook page, and it says, "What is your animal?" And when I went ahead and did this animal dynamics of myself, it was a giraffe, and it said the same thing. And so if life goes ahead and keeps giving you these messages, then maybe you should go ahead and listen to them.
It's so true. I have to think about that too, because I love animals.
You should go and take
Yes.
this. You should go and take this test, because it's really fascinating about what your general features of your face go ahead and say. It's amazing.
Really? Okay, I'm gonna have to do that. Yeah.
Terrific.
Yeah. Thank you so much. But and we still have a little bit more time, but it's been really amazing having you on the show and sharing your journey. Do you have other siblings?
Oh yeah, I have 7 siblings in my family. There are 5 girls and there's 2 boys, so I have four sisters and 2 brothers. My oldest sister is a CPA, and she helps me every year as we get to those taxes. I have 2 sisters in the medical profession. One of them is a pharmacist, and the other is a physical therapist.
Mm-hmm.
My brother is an accountant.
Did she become a physical therapist so she can help people like you as time went on? Where do you fit in the family?
I'm the 5th one.
5th, okay.
I'm
And
the
she is?
The twins were after the oldest one.
Okay.
And then I have a brother who's an accountant. Then there's me. I have a younger brother who was into finance and into mortgage and things like that. I have a
Right.
younger sister who is she was into the medical field, and she now does social media for different companies and organizations. So it was with the bottom half of the family, I took them on a different curve
Yeah.
out of the hard sciences and the math. And, but they all bring unique gifts in different ways. And
that's what families should do.
Yeah,
we should definitely bring unique gifts into the world. So I just, just an amazing person you are. This has been a very long, a long morning for me this morning. So going through this whole process with you, it just really has energized me.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Considering I've been up since 4 o'clock.
Wow. I know
Yeah.
what those early mornings are like, but
Oh,
I know
yes.
from the moment I saw you, the beautiful jewelry that you had, the gorgeous dress. And they say the key to success is this: go every day as if you were meeting someone who's really important. If you dress that way every day, imagine what it can do in terms of how you feel. And one of the things I want to share about how we feel so good is I've written a book that's called Dogs and Roses: How to Reduce Stress.
I was just about to ask you that.
How to
Go
reduce
ahead.
stress and anxiety in today's troubled times.
Yes.
And when I was in one of those down moods, I was depressed, and my life coach said, "What brings you happiness?" And if there's a dog going by, it's the message from above to not take life so seriously. And the other side of that is the rose. The rose has this destined beauty and elegance. At the top of it is this beautiful, beautiful blossom. And on the bottom, it's filled with thorns, and they hurt. And I use it as an analogy with life. We have to overcome the challenges, and at the top is the beauty and the elegance.
Yes, how
But
wonderful.
they wither and they die, and so it's an evolving process of every day is changing.
Yeah. So reducing the stress and the anxiety in today's troubled times.
And it's
Yeah.
really the truth. And when I went and I did the research on what was going on and what was happening about it, I found out that both of the 2 of them have enormous healing powers. When you look at the dog, they say petting a dog over 15 minutes can reduce the stress.
It could reduce blood pressure as well.
And the simple thing with the rose, when you go into to therapy, they have rose oil and rose scents. And the most precious thing that you can put on your body is rose oil.
It's amazing because I don't like to smell roses.
Oh my God, I love the
I
blossoms.
love dogs, but
and so when the rose fell apart, I took those blossoms and I kept them in the house because that smelling, it was just so relaxing. Even when I did my surgery, I brought in a rose from my doctor and I said, "Here, doc, this is for you." And he put it on his lapel, and he said every day as he went through those operations, he would come put that rose on and wear it, and it's fascinating because it's amazing, and they are so healing. When I had my recent foot surgery, and my husband was away, it was the dog. That if you go to my Facebook page, Rosalyn Kahn, you'll see the dog sitting there on my chest. When I've worked too much, he'll come and he'll butt his head and he'll say, "Lady, stop. pet your dog.
I have many friends with dogs, and that's exactly, especially when it comes to, now they have dogs that know when you're about to have a seizure and other things happening to you, but it's really, really therapeutic to have a dog when you have hypertension. So
No, they are.
they're amazing.
They're so amazing.
And they're so loving. That's your friend. That's
there was a day
unconditional love.
There was a day that I was really depressed, and the dog saw me get up, and I went in the other room and I started crying, and there was a dog. He's like, "You called me. Here I am.
Mm-hmm.
Here I am."
Yeah.
And they just know. And part of the beauty of this is I care deeply about our veterans. My father was a veteran in the Merchant Marines, and I'd learned some interesting information about them, and I give part of the proceeds from my book to a nonprofit group. It's called Soldiers and Dogs, and I'm looking to join forces with another group I'm meeting with this Friday that trains rescue dogs here in Southern California.
Okay.
And so it's a beautiful book that helps out our American veterans, because these are the people that fight for our country. And if you're a reservist, you don't get benefits. And there's an organization out of Orange County called Patriots in Paws that you can get everything for your house. There's the USO at the airport that greets them when they come to airports. And so I want to help out these veterans, because they're really wonderful people. And there was a book before that came out. It's called Random Acts of Kindness or Changing the World. And that book was just about simply doing that. I always say you never know what the words you say whose life you can change.
No, you don't. And I've had many situations like that with people not knowing that this was happening. And I tell people a smile is free.
It's
It's
amazing.
free. You don't have to always give somebody something physically. Just give them a smile and a warm look. You just don't know how that changes a person's day. A good morning, how are you?
Right.
It's amazing how people don't listen to how are you. They don't listen to your response.
Right.
That's what they don't listen to, because they will say, "How are you doing?" I said, "Horrible." "Oh, that's good." I'm like, "Well, you asked me a question, but you didn't even. It's not a habit.
Right.
People will ask, but not even listening for the response."
No, you said something at the beginning. We got to be present. We got to be physically present.
Mm-hmm.
I was reading a quote in my book of Women Who Do Too Much, and the quote today was, "The greatest gift in life is to be aware and to have that contemplation to consider, and the worst thing is just to survive."
Yes.
You've got to be aware and realize, contemplate what's going on and what's happening in the world. And to me, that really brings the richness.
Yes, it does. But also not be aware of what's going on in the world, but don't get so involved in it that it brings you down, because there's so much happening around us, especially people who watch the news 24/7. That could really start to bring you down. So you want to just watch what you're doing and make sure that you put it in its proper perspective. A lot of things that are happening we can't control. We just shine light on it, pray about it, and we have to keep kind of moving on. But if you take it all in, so many people are so weighed down that they can't leave their house.
Right.
They become paralyzed, and they're not even knowing why. It's because they're watching all these things happen, knowing that they can't control it, but you put your positive feelings out there and your love over the situation, and that's all you can do.
I was reading this other book by Sean Anker, a person I really look up to and respect. He's got the Before Happiness, and he says, for every negative thought that comes out there, give yourself 3 positives. 3 positives. I was on my way here. I didn't have the directions. I couldn't find it. I got out of my car. I had a long way to walk. I'm still going to get here. Well, I got here early so I could find my way up here. I got here early so I could get changed. And there's always positives out there, but we got to choose ourselves to see it. Our mind tends to go on the negative. So the next time you're watching something and you don't like what it says, give yourself 3 positive things to do it. And you make it a habit. It's amazing what the world opens up to.
But also know that everything you do, there's something to learn from it.
That's exactly true.
Yeah. So just make sure you look at the situation and say, okay, so I took a wrong turn. Okay, maybe it avoided me from something happening. We never know. Just be grateful in the moment. If you be grateful in the moment, I don't care what's going on or how it seems, just be grateful. Sometimes things will show up and you say, "Oh, gee, I'm so glad I didn't take that route."
Right.
I'm so glad that I didn't do a certain thing or be a certain place because this is what happened. So be grateful, because there's always signs and there's things that will help you, direct you to where you need to be.
Right.
But you're always at the right place at the right time.
Oh my God! They say mistakes are learning, and
Always.
things we're always exactly where we need to be.
Yes.
And that's the truth.
Exactly.
You know, Scott Duffy had one statement I learned from Deborah Ferris's mastermind, and he had said this: "We never know whether life is good or bad until we look back down the road and we're able to look back and evaluate what really was." And so, when we originally think that things aren't going the way we want, we need to step back and say, what can I learn from this? Because everything is a lesson.
Exactly.
Everything.
Or we think it's moving too slow. It's like, oh, no, we can fast forward this. I want to move faster and accomplish this goal faster. But there's some steps along the way, along that journey. So once you reach that, and you never do reach everything, because we're constantly evolving. We're constantly growing, so which is really important as well.
Well, it's truly been an honor and a privilege to be with you and just learn all these great things and share so much about what we have in the world and and everything else. I mean,
my prayers that our listeners were able to take away from this show something that will be edifying for you for today, for tomorrow. Share the show with people, because we never know, your next door neighbor could have a child, or someone a friend could have a child that's suffering from scoliosis. And to know and to see this beautiful lady now after her journey is just amazing. Coming around the curves, her battle with scoliosis is very powerful. And like I said, it's always good to share journeys. So please, thank you again for tuning in to New Wellness TV with Dr. Lee. And my wonderful guest here, Rosalyn. You have been amazing, and I'm so grateful that you were here today. And I always want to thank my handsome producer here, Jarvis. Just wonderful.
Well, I want to thank you both for having me here, making me such a welcome guest, and gratitude beyond words. And I hope everyone has a beautiful and blessed day. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. So as I always end my show, and I don't have my wonderful ID on today, not so much ID, but my badge of forgiveness, of gratitude. I want everybody to repeat after me. And I always say the power of the I am. We know it's so powerful. But I am so grateful that I am a magnet for miracles. Thank you so much. And visit our YouTube channel, and also visit our website at newwellnesshealthcare.com. The phone number is listed right there, and learn about all the things we have to offer at New Wellness Healthcare. Visit our Instagram page as well. Thank you so much for tuning in. Until next week.
Join us every Wednesday live at 11 a.m. for New Wellness TV with Dr. Lee. Remember, healthy mind, healthy body.